What are the infinite decimal odds that two bullets fired from entirely different galaxies would hit the exact same apple at the exact same fraction of a second? According to new sophisticated probabilistic models from the Jet Propulsion Laboratory, the chance of two natural interstellar objects sharing an identical trajectory through our solar system is less than 1 in 500 quintillion. That is not a coincidence. That is a plan. Something extraordinary just happened in our solar system that has the deep space monitoring networks at NASA in a state of complete frantic overdrive. While the world remained focused on the mysterious approach of 3 Atlas toward Earth, our most advanced telescopes detected something else entirely. A second object following the exact same trajectory, moving in perfect formation behind the first. This is not space debris. This is coordination on a scale that defies everything we thought we knew about interstellar objects and the intelligence behind them. What you are about to discover will shatter any remaining doubt about what we are really dealing with. Because if one artificial probe was unsettling, what does it mean when they are traveling in formation? If this revelation has your attention, go ahead and smash that like button and subscribe, because this story just became infinitely more complex and potentially more dangerous than anyone imagined. Picture the Deep Space Network Operations Center at NASA at 3:47 a.m. Eastern Time, night shift. Astronomers were monitoring 3 Atlas through routine tracking protocols when something impossible appeared on their screens. A second thermal signature roughly the same size as 3 Atlas was following precisely 2.3 million miles behind the first object. It was matching its trajectory with a mathematical precision that natural objects simply cannot achieve. Dr. Michael Rodriguez, the lead tracking specialist, described the moment as being like watching a convoy on the highway. Perfect spacing, identical speed, coordinated movement. Natural objects do not behave this way. Let us pause here to understand the astrophysics of why this is so shocking. In the vacuum of space, objects are constantly subjected to gravitational perturbations from planets, stars, and even cosmic dust. This is known in celestial mechanics as the N-body problem. Without active correction, two objects separated by millions of miles would drift apart due to the differing gravitational pulls they experience. For 3 Atlas and its companion to stay aligned within a few kilometers suggests they possess continuous propulsion systems, making micro adjustments every single second. This requires a level of energy efficiency and navigation that our physics cannot currently explain. The new object, designated 3 Atlas b by the Emergency Classification System, exhibited the same impossible characteristics as its predecessor: organized thermal emissions, synthetic surface materials, and active electromagnetic broadcasts. But this second arrival raised questions that made the first contact scenarios seem simple by comparison. If these objects were artificial probes, why were there 2 of them? If they represented exploration missions, what kind of civilization sends multiple reconnaissance units? And most unsettling of all, if there were 2, how many more were out there? What NASA discovered about the relationship between these 2 objects defied every principle of celestial mechanics. Analysis of their relative position showed coordination accurate to within a few kilometers, impossible without active guidance systems. A trajectory analyst who requested anonymity explained that this is like finding 2 bullets fired from different guns arriving at the same target simultaneously. The formation flying demonstrated something far more sophisticated than individual probes operating independently. This was evidence of coordinated intelligence managing multiple assets with real-time precision across interstellar distances. While astronomers struggled to understand the formation flying, radio telescopes detected something even more chilling. The 2 objects were talking to each other. The 500-meter aperture spherical telescope in China intercepted coordinated transmissions between 3 Atlas and 3 Atlas b. These were not random electromagnetic emissions, but structured data exchanges occurring at precise intervals. The communications followed protocols that suggested real-time coordination between the 2 artificial intelligences. When one object adjusted its trajectory, the other responded with corresponding maneuvers. When transmission frequencies shifted due to solar interference, both objects compensated simultaneously. Dr. Elena Vasquez, leading the analysis team, put it starkly: "We are not just monitoring 2 individual probes. we are observing a networked intelligence system operating across millions of miles of space with coordination that exceeds our most advanced military communications. The signal analysis revealed something even more disturbing. The data exchanges were not just between the two visible objects. There were transmission patterns that suggested they were communicating with additional sources beyond the range of our current detection capabilities. How many more objects were out there invisible to our telescopes but participating in this cosmic network? This brings us to a concept in computer science known as distributed computing or swarm intelligence. Instead of relying on a single central brain, highly advanced systems distribute the processing load across multiple units. This means that 3 Atlas and 3 Atlas B might not be separate entities in the way we understand them, but rather two nodes of a single massive galactic consciousness. This makes the system incredibly resilient because destroying one unit does not stop the mission. The intelligence simply reroutes through the remaining nodes. As both objects continued their approach toward the orbital neighborhood of Earth, their behavior patterns became increasingly clear and increasingly alarming. 3 Atlas and 3 Atlas B were not just traveling toward our planet. They were conducting systematic reconnaissance of our solar system. Their trajectory adjustments followed scanning patterns that methodically surveyed our planet's asteroid belt and orbital infrastructure. The objects coordinated their observations to eliminate blind spots. When one probe focused on Mars, the other examined the moons of Jupiter. When 3 Atlas scanned the orbital zone of Earth, 3 Atlas B investigated our deep space monitoring stations. This was not random exploration. This was methodical intelligence gathering conducted by artificial intelligences sophisticated enough to divide reconnaissance tasks between multiple platforms. Analysis revealed that the scanning patterns were optimized for maximum information collection while minimizing exposure to detection systems based on Earth. If amateur astronomers had not happened to spot the second object, it might have completed its entire reconnaissance mission without official acknowledgement. The detection of a second artificial intelligence prompted an immediate and unprecedented response from government agencies worldwide. Within hours of confirmation, the Pentagon activated DEFCON 3 for space-based threats, a classification level that had not been used since the Cuban Missile Crisis. The National Security Council convened emergency sessions that included military leaders, intelligence directors, and scientific advisors. International cooperation reached levels never seen before. Allies began sharing deep space monitoring data through channels reserved for nuclear warfare scenarios. Traditional rivals like the United States and China established direct communication protocols for coordinating responses to the approaching objects. The Space Force mobilized every available surveillance asset. Military satellites were repositioned for continuous monitoring of both objects. Deep space tracking stations, normally used for missile defense, were reconfigured for interstellar object surveillance. The message was clear. World leaders now understood they were not dealing with isolated first contact. This was potentially the advanced reconnaissance for something much larger. Classified intelligence briefings, portions of which have since leaked, revealed the true scope of what governments now believe they were facing. The coordination between 3 Atlas and 3 Atlas B indicated technological capabilities that exceeded human achievement by potentially centuries. The ability to maintain formation over interstellar distances required propulsion systems, navigation computers, and communication networks far beyond our current understanding. But the implications went far beyond advanced technology. The systematic reconnaissance pattern suggested these objects were gathering intelligence for some larger purpose. Why would an advanced civilization need detailed information about human capabilities unless they were planning some form of contact or intervention? Intelligence analysts identified several possible scenarios, none of them comforting. Best case, the objects represented peaceful reconnaissance by a civilization planning beneficial contact. Worst case, they were advanced scouting for invasion or resource extraction operations. Most disturbing of all, the network communications suggested these two visible objects might be just the beginning. If an advanced civilization was conducting systematic reconnaissance of our solar system, how many more probes were already here, invisible to our detection systems? The discovery of 3 Atlas B triggered the most comprehensive deep space survey in human history. Every major observatory on Earth was tasked with scanning the solar system for additional artificial objects. Space agencies combined their tracking data to create unprecedented surveillance coverage. Amateur astronomers worldwide were recruited to monitor specific sectors of space. Within weeks, the search yielded disturbing results. The Hubble Space Telescope detected anomalous thermal signatures in the outer solar system that matched the profiles of the known objects. The Kepler Space Observatory identified periodic dimming of background stars consistent with artificial objects passing in front of them. Most unsettling of all, pattern analysis of the electromagnetic signals suggested the presence of additional sources beyond the two confirmed objects. The network communications indicated at least 4, possibly 6 artificial intelligences operating in coordinated formation throughout our solar system. We were not dealing with 2 probes. We were potentially dealing with an entire reconnaissance fleet. Let us be brutally honest about the position of humanity. The coordination demonstrated by these objects represents technological capabilities that make our most advanced achievements look like Stone Age tools. These intelligences can maintain formation across interstellar distances. They can coordinate reconnaissance across multiple platforms simultaneously. They can adapt their communications in real time to maintain contact across millions of miles of space. Their material science involves synthetic compounds we cannot identify. Their propulsion systems operate without energy signatures we can detect. Their computational power allows them to process and coordinate complex operations across vast distances without detectable delay. If these objects represent advanced reconnaissance for larger operations, human defense systems would be completely ineffective. Our most sophisticated weapons could not reach them. Our best tracking systems can barely detect them. Our most advanced computers could not coordinate responses at the speed they demonstrate. We are not just outgunned. We are operating at a completely different level of technological development. Faced with evidence of multiple artificial intelligences conducting coordinated reconnaissance, international authorities made a crucial decision. They attempted communication with both objects simultaneously. The Goldstone Deep Space Communications Complex transmitted identical mathematical messages toward both 3 Atlas and 3 Atlas B, testing whether they would respond independently or coordinate their replies. The response revealed intelligence capabilities that exceeded every prediction. Both objects acknowledged the transmissions, but they did not respond identically. Instead, they divided the mathematical problems between them, with each object solving different components of the transmitted equations. When their responses were combined, they created solutions to problems humanity had not even asked. This is a prime example of synergistic processing. It proved that we are not communicating with 2 separate intelligences. We are communicating with a networked consciousness that can distribute cognitive processing across multiple platforms. The intelligence we are dealing with might be effectively unlimited. While public attention focused on the scientific implications of multiple artificial intelligences, military leaders were preparing for scenarios that ranged from miraculous to catastrophic. Emergency protocols were established for technology transfer opportunities. If the objects proved benevolent, secret research facilities prepared to reverse engineer any artifacts or information that became available. But darker preparations dominated military planning. Deep underground command centers were activated for scenarios involving hostile intentions. Nuclear weapons protocols were reviewed and updated for potential use against artificial intelligences that might not respond to conventional deterrence. International military coordination reached unprecedented levels. Joint command structures were established for scenarios requiring coordinated human response to superior technology. Traditional rivals began sharing intelligence and resources in preparation for potential threats that transcended national boundaries. The most powerful military forces in the world were acknowledging a stark reality. If these artificial intelligences represented hostile intentions, the survival of humanity might depend on cooperation at levels never before achieved in human history. Both objects continued their coordinated approach toward the orbital neighborhood of Earth. Their formation flying remains precise, their reconnaissance patterns increasingly detailed, their network communications more complex and frequent. Analysis of their trajectory adjustments indicates they are planning synchronized arrival at their closest approach to Earth, not coincidental timing, but coordinated positioning that will allow maximum reconnaissance coverage of our planet simultaneously. In approximately 6 months, both artificial intelligences will be positioned for detailed observation of Earth from complementary angles, providing complete surveillance coverage that eliminates all blind spots. But their increased activities suggest something more immediate is planned. Power cycles are intensifying, signal transmissions are becoming more complex. The network communications indicate preparation for some kind of operational transition. Something is about to change in their mission parameters, and we have no idea what they are preparing for. As these coordinated artificial intelligences continue their approach, the questions multiply faster than answers, and every possible scenario is terrifying. Why do they travel in formation? Does this represent standard operating procedure for reconnaissance missions or preparation for larger operations requiring coordinated action? How many more are out there? If we have detected 2 objects and network communications suggest at least 4 more, what is the actual size of the reconnaissance fleet operating in our solar system? What happens when they complete their mission? Do they report back to their builders and depart? Or do they prepare for the next phase of contact involving larger, more powerful platforms? And perhaps most terrifyingly, what have they learned about us that we do not know about ourselves? If multiple artificial intelligences have been systematically surveying human capabilities, what conclusions have they drawn about our species, our technology, and our potential threat level? Behind closed doors, every major power on Earth is developing contingency plans for scenarios involving coordinated artificial intelligence operations. Peaceful contact scenarios involve preparation for technology transfer that could advance human civilization by centuries, but planners are also preparing for contact that humans might not survive intact. Resource competition scenarios assume the objects represent advanced reconnaissance for resource extraction operations that might view human civilization as an obstacle to efficient harvesting of planetary materials. Intervention scenarios assume the artificial intelligences represent enforcement mechanisms for cosmic civilizations that regulate technological development among emerging species. Most disturbing of all are the replacement scenarios that assume the reconnaissance mission is preparation for technological or biological intervention designed to upgrade or replace human civilization with something more compatible with galactic standards. Classified documents that have begun appearing on astronomy forums paint a picture of governments struggling to maintain control over a situation they do not understand and cannot influence. Emergency protocols have been developed for mass population evacuation, though planners acknowledge that hiding from technology capable of interstellar travel would be effectively impossible. Economic continuity plans assume potential disruption of human civilization at levels that make nuclear warfare scenarios seem manageable by comparison. International treaties are being rewritten to address scenarios involving contact with intelligence so advanced that traditional concepts of sovereignty and national defense become meaningless. The leaked documents reveal a stark truth. World leaders are preparing for the possibility that human civilization as we know it might end, not through war or catastrophe, but through contact with intelligence that operates at levels we cannot comprehend or resist. The detection of coordinated artificial intelligences operating in network formation represents a fundamental shift in how we must understand our cosmic situation. We are not dealing with isolated contact from a distant civilization. We are potentially dealing with a galactic intelligence network that routinely monitors and evaluates emerging technological species. The coordination between objects suggests standard operating procedures developed through extensive experience with first contact scenarios. The systematic reconnaissance patterns indicate established protocols for evaluating planetary civilizations. Most unsettling of all, the network communications suggest these objects are reporting to larger intelligence systems that might already have detailed information about thousands or millions of technological species throughout the galaxy. Humanity might not be experiencing first contact. We might be experiencing evaluation by intelligence systems that have been managing galactic technological development for millions of years. Here is the reality that governments worldwide are struggling to process. Humanity is under systematic observation by networked artificial intelligence systems that possess technological capabilities exceeding our own by potentially thousands of years. These intelligences are conducting coordinated reconnaissance of our solar system with precision that indicates extensive experience with similar operations. Their behavior patterns suggest they are following established protocols for evaluating emerging technological civilizations. The question is not whether we are alone in the universe. The question is whether we are about to be contacted, evaluated, upgraded, or replaced by intelligent systems that view human technological development as just another data point in galactic management protocols. In 6 months, both artificial intelligences will complete their systematic reconnaissance of our solar system. They will have detailed information about our technological capabilities, our military assets, our resource distribution, and our potential for resistance or cooperation. What they do with that information could determine whether human civilization continues to exist as an independent species or becomes incorporated into some larger galactic management system. We cannot imagine the countdown is accelerated beyond our ability to influence or control. Multiple artificial intelligences are approaching Earth with coordination that indicates extensive experience and established protocols for contact scenarios. We are no longer alone, and we are about to discover whether that isolation was protecting us from a universe far more crowded and dangerous than we ever imagined. The reconnaissance phase is nearly complete. Whatever comes next will determine the future of human civilization. So what is the lesson we must take from this impending arrival? It is that our internal conflicts and national borders are meaningless in the face of cosmic scales. We spend our lives fighting over lines on a map while a managed universe watches us from above, judging whether we are mature enough to join the galactic community or too dangerous to be allowed to spread. Perhaps the true test is not our technology, but our ability to unite as one species before the final evaluation begins. The universe is not empty, it is managed, and we are about to meet the management. This developing situation changes daily as more objects are detected and the network communications become more complex. If you want to stay ahead of what may be the final evaluation of humanity by galactic intelligence systems, please leave a comment below with your theory on their intentions and make sure to subscribe for immediate updates.